DUELIST NEXUS is the next big Yu-Gi-Oh set coming out this summer. It is an homage to the 5Ds era, Yusei Fuda himself, and of course the Crimson Dragon, which is finally being released in the TCG. Let's get into it. But first, if you want to support me and the channel, use my affiliate links in the description below, and you can also become a YouTube member to get early access to deck lists, exclusive Discord access, and much more. So this is another should you buy video going through everything you need to know about DUELIST NEXUS. But before we begin, make sure to leave a thumbs up on the video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to pick up your own DUELIST NEXUS boxes and of course singles when the time comes, check out the link in the description to tier0games.com. They already have DUELIST NEXUS up for pre-order, so get that while you can. The first thing I want to talk about is the fact that we might not get Starlights in this set. We are probably gonna get 25th century anniversary, quarter century anniversary Starlight rares, those unique secret rares that look like the Starlights. It's gonna be interesting to see what actually happens with the rarities, because up until now every core set we have 5 Starlights up until today, but now maybe we're actually gonna get a lot more than that. We saw 25 of them in Battles of Legend Monstrous Revenge. We're getting the tin soon that also have these kind of rarities. This is going to be really interesting to see what happens with that, but let's start with the things that are in the set and that you can look forward to, the first of which is the Chimera Retrains. New fusion archetype, a new monster type in Yu-Gi-Oh! Called Illusionist. Wonder how it's going to be called in English. Maybe that was already released, but Illusionist is a new monster type, and these monsters are relatively strong. They have a quick play fusion called Chimera Fusion, which is not a once per turn fusion. It's sort of like a, it's sort of like branded in a sense. You can turbo out Guardian Chimera a lot of times, pop things, destroy things, combine it really well with branded. I'm really excited for that. And of course we're getting new support for Altergeist as well. Unbelievable, and we just had the reveal a few months ago and we're still getting support for Altergeist. This was my first deck ever, if you don't know that. This is going to be really exciting. A new Link monster that can take control of monsters your opponent controls, set trap cards to your field, and of course Mole Wisp, which is probably the better one out of the new cards, getting to special summon itself when it's being added by a card, so you can combo off really interestingly. I think a lot of people have a lot of criticism on how these cards were designed for the new Altergeist support, kind of making it veer away from what Altergeist originally was, but we're gonna have to see what's up with that. Unchained is getting a new broken Link 2, and of course 2 new additional monsters that can destroy cards, special summon themselves to the field. I've played against this deck. One of my good friends actually is a stand for this deck. This is really interesting to see what actually happens with this deck. This deck is getting a new Link 2, which is very good, adds an Unchained card from the deck to the hand, can pop things, and of course can special summon from the graveyard a lot. And every time there's a new Link monster for an archetype coming out, you need to be out on the lookout to see, because usually those Link 2s are absolutely broken. So Unchained also getting new support. And Rescue Ace is actually getting a new extender, which is sort of like, it can special summon itself, also can Book of Moon your opponent's monsters. And after this card was actually released in the OCG, Rescue Ace is actually a really consistent topping deck. A lot of people were buying out Hydrants once they saw this card was announced, and I think for good reason, because right now Rescue Ace is one of the better decks in the OCG. I really wonder if this will translate equally to the TCG. And we are getting a new chapter in the Clear New World storyline, of course the Visas lore. We are getting a new Synchro monster, a relatively strong one at that can definitely extend your Synchro plays throughout your combo. Really like a nice new cornerstone for the deck, but also we are getting a reveal of the new antagonist to the Visa storyline. We are finally getting introduced to Veda, which in my opinion, I'm working on a Visa's lore video myself, so my thinking is that Veda is actually the villain who stole Visas' emotions and spread them out throughout the universe. We're also getting that one in this set. We're getting a few trap cards. We are also getting, Veda can add Clear New World, which is a card released, I think, in Dimension Force or Battle of Chaos a while ago, and now it's becoming relevant again. It's going to be really interesting to see if Manadium can step up the game. Of course, we're getting a new Manadium Treed monster, which is going to, impact the deck a little bit more. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with the deck. And Pearly support, we're also getting a new Pearly rank 2 monster, a small little noir a version that is not a towers, but can bounce cards and is really, I think, powerful for the deck. Again, Pearly in the OCG, doing a lot of work and being one of the top decks. They did not have Delicious hit, but Pearly is getting relevant support that can boost the deck. And of course, a new trap card that essentially creates a new Xyz monster with like 3 or 4 materials just with one card, which is actually amazing. So Pearly getting that boost as well. And a few other notable cards. We have a new Evolzar rank 6. This card is kind of nuts. This card can negate effects, but also it's generic. Unlike the other Evolzar rank monsters, you can make this with 2 Bestials. I wonder if we're gonna see Dinos and Bestials combined to make this. This is going to be really, really strong and interesting to see what happens with it. Dark Corridor, a new Dark World support card, add a Dark World monster and then discard 1 card. This card is absolutely broken. I wonder if Dark World is going to come back to seeing play after this card's getting the new support. Revolution Synchron, probably one of the best cards in the deck, can actually summon itself as a level 1 tuner, but also be used from the hand. There's some insane combos with this card, including Alistair the Invoker of all cards, but I think in terms of Synchron strategies, this card is the absolute GOAT. It's going to give a lot of boost to the deck where it's much needed. Fusion Reinforcement is a new normal fusion spell, which you know I always like those, definitely. This card is really interesting because it can special summon 1 monster that is a fusion material from the extra deck to the field. It negates the effects, but there are some interesting combo lines where you can actually get a negated Naturia Beast onto the field because it's a it's a fusion material for Naturia Exterior, and then do some shenanigans with that. I'm really hoping somebody, or maybe myself, or maybe you guys in the comments below, manage to break this card because I think it's super, super interesting. Again, as I've said before, we're getting a new Vanadium Treed, and this card is going to be great for, the combined force of Vanadium. It's going to give the deck its needed boost, and hopefully we're going to see the deck evolve a little bit further. We're getting a new Runic monster. It's going to be a level 9, and this card is good. It's also an interruption on the field, can banish cards from your opponent's field, but also summon tokens. So it's kind of like the combination of the Runic and Generator lore. If you don't know, it's the same lore. These guys are on each other's cards, so it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's like a 9-legged horse or something like that. It's really cool. The Crimson Dragon, the 5D's poster boy, finally being released after so many years. This card can get Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Calamities onto the field, which is something that none of us really like to see. And the last one is Click and Echo, a card that I'm not really sure why Konami would even print, but similar to Ibli, if you use it for a link material, you can special summon it to your opponent's field, and your opponent must keep their hand revealed. Also, it cannot be used for summoning anything except for link monsters, and I think it's a horribly designed card. I don't really understand why Konami would even print something like that, but hey, we're gonna have to see if this card actually makes it into the meta. So this was a very short 10-minute review of the Duelist Nexus, the next set in Yu-Gi-Oh! Let me know what you guys think about the set in the comments below. Of course, if you want to pre-order some boxes yourself, head over to Tier 0, the link is in the description below. Use code GALZO5 to get 5% off. Like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.